Hey, this is Pamela Schneider. I'm the retail editor for Blue Book Services. This is Greg Johnson, our director of media development, and this is the Produce Reporter Week in Review. What do we have, Greg?
Well, there's some big government stimulus talk this week. It is the USDA Buy Fresh program, in which USDA has promised to spend up to, and maybe even exceeding, depending on who applies and how many apply, for $100 million per month for produce companies to package produce in boxes and deliver them to approved charities to give out to people, and USDA will reimburse them. And USDA says they are doing an unprecedentedly quick turnaround on this, which I believe, because we're talking about a multi-billion-dollar government agency, and they have RSPs are going to start to be available tomorrow. Well, sorry, Friday of this week. And then the timeline is very quick. It's like 1 week later, proposals are due back. Week after that, awards are announced, and deliveries begin a week after that. So deliveries will begin by mid-May. That's really quick. It's really amazing.
So who's eligible to do this? Is it the grower shippers? Is it the distributors? Is it everybody?
Yes, it could be food service, could even be restaurants. They said you submit your proposal on how you will provide produce in boxes. And what they say is they want it to be from truck to trunk, because a lot of these feeding organizations use volunteers, and the volunteers aren't showing up because they don't have the time. They're stuck at home. They have to be home. They're at risk categories. So they want a produce truck to drive up with hundreds of boxes filled with produce. They put them on, they can take them off the truck, put them in the warehouse, give them straight to people coming in to get food. They want it to be quick turnaround. And they keep saying boxes. They might accept something else, but it's got to be, it can't be like a 50-pound box of potatoes.
Yeah.
It's going to be individually sized. Who is naturally going to be best at this? Someone who does it already, not necessarily the government, but someone who has the capacity to take produce in and put them in consumer-sized boxes and get them out.
A lot of the produce distributors over the last 6 weeks have converted to some kind of box model. We've seen Produce Alliance, a lot of their members are doing it. ProAct, a lot of members are doing that. A lot of produce distributors pivoted to this immediately. So I'm assuming that they're going to have maybe a step up on that, but I'm sure that even in a couple of days, someone can source some boxes and figure this out to try to get some more cash flow coming in.
Yeah, it has the potential to be really helpful for companies that have lost business and don't have a channel, that this would be a channel and they would get government money. United, I asked them if they had any idea what the pricing model would be, and they said they didn't expect it to be a lowest priced wins situation. So it shouldn't be a big money loser for a company.
It shouldn't be a money loser at all, right?
No, it could be a money maker.
Yeah. Just keep the lights on and keep treading water basically until we can get back up back in business. There's a whole lot of implications for this, and I'd like to see the idea that it is separate from retail, because retail is moving all the produce it can right now, and we've kind of gotten to the point where Anne-Marie and I have been doing analysis of the numbers. We're looking at some challenging numbers. We're starting to see, veg is still up 25% year over year. And that makes sense, but fruit has gone down as low as 1.5% up year over year. And then the last 2 weeks, it's been flat at 7.5%. So we've kind of reached maybe perhaps peak fruit. And we've got to figure out how to stimulate some more, fruit is bought on impulse. And there's not a whole lot of impulse when you are walking through the store or shopping online with your blinders on and getting in and out as quickly as possible. I have an example where I went to the store the other day because I forgot one ingredient to make bread that I've never made before, and I probably shouldn't make because I just burnt myself doing it. I'm not a baker. I keep trying. But I walked in the store and a huge display of champagne mangoes were right there in front of me, and they were amazing and a fantastic price. They were $5 for $5. They're like this big, and I would never have bought them if I hadn't gone into the store. I would have never bought them if I got that weird random ingredient on Amazon.
And you're not even supposed to do those one-off trips right now. That's discouraged.
I know, but you know where I went? I went to Whole Foods 365, and there's nobody there.
No one's there.
Wide open aisles, not a soul in the store. It's like my secret weapon if I need to get something quickly, because yeah, I could social distance forever in there. So, but it brings me to an issue that I wrote a column about. It's actually a repeat of a column that I wrote last year. I had a talk at the Mexican Table Grape Growers Conference, the Sonora Spring Grape Summit. They asked me to talk about e-commerce and grapes. And at the time, I mean, I talked about how little the e-commerce game is, because at the time it was so small. It was pretty much insignificant. I talked to growers, and I kind of, you know, I'm a store check person. I love to look at stores. And I was like, hey, show of hands, how many of you guys, when you're on vacation, first thing you do is go look at grapes at the store? Oh yeah, everybody, right? I go, how many of you guys have looked at grapes online? None of them. None of them even thought to look at what a listing for their commodity looks like if they're trying to buy it on Kroger.com or WholeFoods.com. And I was like, it's a problem, because there's some really bad online merchandising. This is a huge problem going forward, because how are we going to continue to support fruit growers and support the economy that we have of how much fruit we're growing if we have no opportunities for inspiring impulse purchases?
There's definitely a disconnect between the merchandisers in the store and the equivalent of merchandisers for online grocery. And I think retailers really need to figure out if they're serious about really growing online, that they need to get the experts that they use in store and throughout their chain to be experts in this channel too. Because clearly, yeah, you look at how they're displaying fruit online, and it's ridiculous. It's a lot of photoshopping. It's not realistic. Certainly doesn't take advantage of the beautiful things that you can do with fruit and vegetables in store.
The artistry that we use to inspire people to purchase fruits and vegetables in store, there is certainly a way that we can translate some of that online. Because right now,
it's scalable. We know you can't just, each store can't take a picture of their mango display. That's just not scalable. But could you do it weekly like you do in your print circulars? There's a lot of care that goes into those. Those are good looking. It isn't just Photoshop. And so they take that priority to online.
You could even do, I mean, this could be one of those things where you plan it out. You know you've got a store opening. Everyone knows every store looks amazing when it opens. Bring a photographer in the day before a store opening and take a picture of every display and build your own catalog. That's a big project, right? To start that over. I've done big projects to refresh art, and it takes a while to get all that done. But even then, it's not something you have to update every single day. You just need a display of mangoes. And it kind of reminds me of the funny memes that we see going around right now, where, you know how when you're picking your character online for a video game, it's like a little avatar, and you outfit your avatar, and they're kind of like doing this, and they're like, what's your coronavirus outfit going to be today? Is it going to be pajama pants? This is the kind of merchandising you're seeing on really stellar e-commerce platforms, where you can try on your own clothes. The tools are there. You can't tell me that a multi-billion-dollar company, and I picked on Kroger a lot in this column because their art for their online store is so inconsistent. I mean, even within avocados, you have a picture of a cut avocado that looks amazing, and then the small avocado is like this, like dark black, badly lit stock art that somebody took with their phone facing a window. I mean, in my office here, I could take better photos than that, with a piece of white paper. I have done it. So you can't tell me it's too hard. You can't tell me that your platform can't handle it. You just have to tell me every time I hear an excuse like that, you're just telling me that it's not a priority, and selling fruit online, selling more vegetables online, it's not important enough to make sure that we're delivering an experience that is still streamlined, but also inspires purchase.
Well, in their defense, they have to know that it's going to be profitable.
Yeah, in their defense.
Sometimes it's not.
Yeah, I know, but you know what? You could do a quick test. You could take one category and do better photos and see how that works. And if it works, change over another category. And if that works, change over another category. I mean, right now, e-commerce, if you've got a decent platform, you're selling a lot of fruits and vegetables online. You're selling a lot of toilet paper online. It's worth it. And I don't think that this is a category, or at least the e-commerce, I don't think that we're going to see the numbers back off that much when people start going back into stores.
I agree.
Speaking of selling more fruits and vegetables, we had quite a few crop stories, a lot of interest in some of the content that we've written in conjunction with our Ag Tools agronomist analysis. What were some of the hits this week?
We were trying to pick fruits and vegetables that we thought might have some interesting things go on. For instance, we looked at cabbage, and cabbage is always a huge product leading up to St. Patrick's Day. And St. Patrick's Day was right around the time that most cities and states in our country were starting to shut down and go to stay-at-home orders. So cabbage was weird. It was a weird roller coaster, and the demand was solid up to the holiday, and it really crashed hard. And then we looked at asparagus, and asparagus is huge leading up to Easter. And since people didn't really celebrate Easter this year with family and going to church and all that, the demand was not as high, but prices have rebounded rather quickly. And so that was good to see. And then we looked at apples, which, this isn't necessarily apple season as you're thinking, but it's a big crop, and it's a big crop in storage. And the volume chart is just amazing. It's like straight out of a textbook. Right in mid-March to from the 15th to the 25th, you saw a huge spike when people were panic buying and buying big bags. And then it dropped almost the same equivalent the next 2 weeks because people had enough apples, and it went right back to normal.
You got to finish these before we buy it.
And pricing hardly budged.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the price didn't matter. People didn't buy more or less depending on the price, and the price stayed consistent.
We've got a lot of other commodities that we're taking a look at with our relationship with Ag Tools. So if anyone else wants to, suggest one or get one on the schedule, you can always email us, and we will take care of that. There was one thing that the commentary on cabbage that I wanted to bring up that I think maybe some people aren't thinking about as far as retail goes. Cabbage at retail is selling really well. It's I'm looking at the IRI numbers. It's 42% up volume year over year. However, how much cabbage goes to coleslaw? That goes to KFC? That goes to Raising Cane's? That goes to barbecue places? Is not going there anymore. So there's a whole lot of cabbage out there that doesn't have a home right now.
That's true. And it is interesting just to look at some of the items that are huge in food service, and really for asparagus for that matter. That is a big food service item. And
it's a steakhouse item, for sure.
Yeah, that has an effect for sure.
All right, well, we'll keep an eye on it. And that's it for this week's Produce Reporter Week in Review. If you are not getting the Produce Reporter newsletter, go to producebluebook.com and sign up.
And I will enjoy my apple.
I literally have a Cosmic Crisp in my, that was another thing that I haven't talked about, is shelf life. And what I've been talking about with fruit shelf life. People aren't buying fruit because they're worried about shelf life. Oh, every time I post that all the fruit that I have in my fridge, people are like, I couldn't keep that much fruit around. It would go bad before we would eat it. I have apples in my fridge that have been in my fridge for 6 weeks, and they are
Oh,
still.
yeah.
I have citrus. I keep avocados in my crisper drawer after once I buy them green and hard, and I ripen them, and then I put them in the fridge, and then
They can last 2 weeks. Easy.
Yeah, 2 weeks at least.
Yes.
I think people just don't plan these out, and they're not thinking about it. And you know, there are a few things that you eat right away, like strawberries. I eat those right away. Yellow bananas, you've only got a couple of days on those. But everything else, as long as you plan it out and actually pay attention to what you have in your fridge, just eat it. Come on, eat it.
You know, you're talking about how people have shifted their buying. I went to Aldi today because we were out of tons of stuff and went through the produce department. I was not in a hurry. I was looking at what was good. I wasn't planning on buying as many strawberries as I did, but they're like $1.50 a pound. I was like, well, I'll get 2 or 3 of those. I went through like normal, looking at prices, taking my time. I bought stuff I wasn't planning on buying.
Did you have to wait in line to get in?
I got there I got right in, but when I came out, there was a line.
Yeah. So I feel like if people have to wait in line to get in, they go faster. Maybe you know?
Well, there wasn't a line when I got there, so I didn't know there would be one. I mean, I wasn't jacking around. I never do at the store.
Yeah, the in-store radio at HEB, every 15 minutes or so, gets on there and has this coronavirus, like, we can all help lower the spread of coronavirus in Texas by doing these amazing things, move quickly, shop from a list. And it's got a Hee Haw Texas kind of accent going on. And it's like they're reminding you. And if I hear it twice while I'm in the store, I'm like, I've been too long. Time to go. Get it out. Yeah. So, and Aldi, I mean, can you really spend, my mom can spend an hour in Aldi. I can't spend more than half an hour in Aldi.
No, not even close.
Yeah.
I think I was 12 minutes today.
Yeah.
So with taking my time through produce.
When I go to the store, I've been going on Fridays because I don't want to go on the weekend because there's even a bigger crowd on the weekend. I wait in line for half an hour to get into Costco. That's my first stop. And then I wait in line for 30 minutes to get into HEB. That's my second stop.
Takes 30 minutes? Holy crap.
And the line doesn't seem that long, but once they meter traffic by, they let in like 25 people and then they stop. And then they let 25 people come out and then they meter in 25 more people because they're not letting people in and out. Costco does it 1 in, 1 out. Yeah. But the line for Costco, they have it like snake around like you're at Six Flags, and they have like a cart corral built where people keep their distance and stuff. And it literally is probably 100 people trying to get into Costco when I go there. I haven't
been to Costco in a month.
It's like the closest store to me, so I love Costco. And
I would if it was close. It's 25 minutes away.
Yeah, it's 3 minutes away from me. Whole Foods is 2.5 minutes away. Although I did, for the